Happy Sunday, dear friends. Welcome, welcome. So glad you're here as always. Welcome to our Sunday time of connection and devotion. The sun has risen and it's beautiful here in the St. Pete, Florida area. Just glad you're here. What a beautiful season it is. I have had the opportunity to remember this last week the transition and passing of my spiritual father, Bishop Carlton Pearson. 2 years since he transitioned from the physical body, just beyond the veil that I believe is very thin. And that would have been on this last Wednesday. And then yesterday, we celebrated in the Nashville, Tennessee area, my first granddaughter's birthday. And it was her first birthday, as she was born November the 22nd of 2024. And we celebrated together as family. And then, of course, my granddaughter, Coop, I'll explain, she is the daughter of Brianna's husband. And I consider her to be my granddaughter as well. She's beautiful, 3 years old. We just had a wonderful time of celebration. So celebrating birthing and transitioning so closely together, and two individuals, human individuals, who are very dear to my heart. And I just was able to sit in gratitude this last week. You know, and we're in a series, and the first part of the series was about gratitude and the frequency of gratitude and how that can shift the climate of your inner being and your biology, not just your psychology and your spirituality. And then this last week during our picnic, we talked about hard thanks and how it can be challenging sometimes to be grateful for certain people in certain circumstances. This week, I wanted to look at the idea of the pure thanks. Gratitude as a way of being, how we show up. It's sort of the benediction of being itself. And I want to invite us into that concept, the gratitude as a way of being. Loved ones, we have traveled really far together. We awakened to our oneness. We aligned and activated our energy. We stepped into frequency. We've been practicing love, joy, and peace. We practiced the simple thanks, the hard thanks. And now we're getting into what could be considered the rarest of territory of all of it around gratitude, and that is pure thanks. Gratitude with no object, gratitude without a reason, gratitude just because, gratitude as the natural outflowing fragrance of our life, and the natural fragrance and flavor of our being. So breathe just a moment. Feel that inhale rise. Feel the exhale soften. When you do this, when it's the simple breath, something ancient is happening. Every time you breathe, a miracle is occurring that is so steady and so a part of every moment that we forget often that it's sacred. This is why breath work is so powerful, and why I appreciate that today during our 11 o'clock service, we're going to have Les is going to be doing a breathing exercise with us, and then Mari Castle, who is a part of our community, also works with breathing exercises. And it's important for us to remember the breath. In meditation, in Eastern philosophy, there's this understanding and idea of returning to the breath. But that miracle of breathing is such a steady thing that we often take it for granted. We forget how sacred and powerful it is. Pure thanks begins when we remember what has always been holy. You have always been holy. You didn't become holy because you joined a religion or you prayed a particular prayer. You have always been holy. You've always had the touch of the divine on your life. You were an idea in the heart mind of God before you spawned into this existence, or as Ram Dass would say, before you took birth. And Meister Eckhart said once that if the only prayer we ever prayed was thank you, that would be enough. Pure thanks is when that prayer is no longer spoken, but it becomes the vibrational frequency of your life, the hum, if you will, that sound beneath your life. It is the sound of your spirit and your soul. It's the sound that your spirit and your soul combined together make when it is finally at rest, in complete stillness and rested back in the truth of our nature. Rumi described gratitude as a cloak that is woven or sewn together from the unseen. We talked about that cloak and wearing gratitude as a cloak of righteousness. And Meister Eckhart, of course, we talked about him in our first message in this series. In pure thanks, that cloak, it does not get put on. It becomes your skin. So even though Rumi said to put on gratitude like a cloak, I'm talking about a deeper level of gratitude where instead of putting it on and taking it off, it becomes the skin of your life. It's with you everywhere you go. You're constantly living in that space. And this will take some practice and getting into the beauty of the miracle of every single present moment. This is why it's so important for us to study the art of being in the now, because this present moment is the greatest gift. That's why it's called a present. And as we embody this frequency of gratitude and thanksgiving and appreciation, our whole life becomes a song of praise. Our whole life becomes inundated with and soaked in this frequency of gratitude. You know, the Tao Te Ching says that the highest contentment comes from being, not having. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the difference between I'm grateful because I have a pool to swim in, or I'm grateful because the sun is shining, or I'm grateful because so-and-so told me they love me. This is gratitude without a particular reason. It's gratitude for the sake of gratitude. And that's what I believe it means in the Tao when it says that the highest contentment comes from being. And that's the embodiment of this, not just having. In pure thanks, we discover the truth behind those words quoted by and taught by Lao Tzu some 600 years before Christ. And those words are that the truth of them means you stop grasping and you start glowing. You've been growing for so long in the frequency of gratitude that you begin to glow with the frequency of gratitude. You know, the indigenous elders, and I have enjoyed taking a deeper look at the indigenous tribes and elders of many different cultures. It's really a joy to look back at their philosophy and their way of showing up in the world. Indigenous elders actually teach gratitude as belonging, not belonging to a tribe or a tradition or to a particular teaching or a religion, but belonging to life itself. This is what it means when the indigenous talk about interbeing. They don't use the term interbeing. That was coined by Thich Nhat Hanh, but the same idea is there. This is that we belong to the earth belongs to us. It is an ongoing dance with life. And so they talk about gratitude as belonging. Again, and it's not about belonging to a particular group, a tribe or a tradition or a religious belief system or teachings, but belonging to life itself. And when we talked about this in Living in Frequency, we talked about coherence. Pure thanks is what happens when coherence becomes compassion, when the heart's vibration stabilizes our whole being into a steady and a sacred yes. This is not gratitude as a practice, really, as much as it's gratitude as an identity. I am showing up as gratitude. That is my identity. Gratitude is my attitude because it's my identity. In science, we find that heart math really confirms that what the mystics have known for ages and taught for ages, that sustained gratitude synchronizes the heart and the brain, and that harmony literally becomes your biology. And when it becomes your biology, there is a oneness there's an awareness, an acute awareness, and a very vivid awareness of your oneness with all of life. And that's what that harmony does to your being. Your biology gets into harmony. Neuroscientists tell us that gratitude strengthens neural pathways toward joy, toward happiness, toward the general sense of well-being and feeling of well-being, and toward a general sense of just feeling good. The brain begins to prefer gratitude just like a sunflower prefers light. It starts to prefer gratitude because that has become the habitual behavior through the coherence of the power of gratitude. Positive psychology is calling us upward into it, and it calls this particular vibrational frequency of gratitude, positive psychology calls it the upward spiral. Instead of spiraling down, you're spiraling up. You give thanks and life rises. You rise and life gives back. The universe enters a feedback loop of blessing. You're sending it out as your signal, and the universe is giving it back to you in spades, in multiplication. Scientists call it sustained positive affect. When you have sustained positive affect, you have less negative infect. Mystics call it heaven on earth, the merging of heaven and earth. It's the same truth, different vocabulary and different lab coats, but the same truth. You want to bring heaven to earth, you do it through gratitude. Now, you know gratitude is taken over when you start thanking things no normal person would thank. Like, thank you, red light, for giving me a moment to breathe before I say something I cannot unsay. Thank you, Wi-Fi, for reconnecting before I lost my salvation. Thank you, stretchy pants, for loving me unconditionally. You know something has shifted in your life when you start thanking things that normal people, as we say it, normal people, don't even think about. This is when gratitude stops being a checklist and it really becomes the lens you see everything through. And everything then becomes your teacher, as we talked last week. Everything becomes a blessing in training. You know, there was a monk, I was sharing this with a coaching client this week, that there was a monk that was asked years ago to define enlightenment. And he lifted up his cup of tea, smiled, and said, "This cup of tea." It was nothing flashy, it was nothing impressive. It was just presence, just gratitude for what is already here. And then, yes, that includes all of the things. I remember when my children handed me sticks and called them flowers, weeds and called them flowers. I thanked them. And as I thanked them, their faces beamed like they'd handed me a treasure. But I had really handed them a treasure with my gratitude. And they had gratitude for the response and my reaction of gratitude. And gratitude turned that ordinary moment into a beautiful experience, a historical experience, and something that you could have said it turned those sticks into a cathedral. It constructed something gorgeous. Pure thanks is not about what you receive, it's about how you see. And when the lens of gratitude is put on, you see the world as just this gorgeous, beautiful place that we all get to play in. And what a beautiful thing. Take a moment, if you would, and close your eyes. No list today, no reason, no object, just gratitude itself. Consider closing your eyes for a moment. Maybe listen to the sounds around you. Inhale, thank, and exhale, you. Inhale, thank, and exhale, you. It might seem so simple, but just feel the sense of gratitude right now for everything and for nothing, just because. Just because. Let that vibration rise from the center of your being. Feel gratitude for the privilege of breathing, of existing. Feel gratitude for being aware of this moment. Feel gratitude for being aware of gratitude. Feeling gratitude that, like, even as that siren is going by now, maybe there is someone who is in pain and they're going through struggle, and we send them love right at this very moment. We send them peace or healing or whatever it is that they need in their journey. But feel gratitude, just the sensation of gratitude. Let that vibration rise from your center. Feel gratitude for the privilege of breathing, of existing, of being aware and being in awareness. This is gratitude with no story attached. Gratitude that flows simply because you are here. Stay with that for just a moment. This is pure thanks. Stay with that for just a moment. Pure thanks, pure gratitude. Just because. There's a song I wrote recently titled Put a Praise on It. And one of the lines in that is, praise, celebrate even when it doesn't make sense or even when it don't make sense. Be grateful now, even if it doesn't make sense. Bring gratitude and thanksgiving into the senses, here and now. This is pure thanks. Now breathe in, thank, and exhale, you. Now look back at me, if you will, and let a smile be on your face. In this moment, something historic and miraculous is occurring in your body and all around you in the field, because you are an electromagnetic field. You are a field of energy that is showing up in the world of energy. And I'm encouraging you to begin and end each day, not by naming blessings, but by feeling the frequency of gratitude within you. And I'm not saying to get away from the practice of naming the blessings. Of course, name them, but just be in the frequency of gratitude. Allow your body to soak in it, just the same way that you would in a bath. Allow your being to soak in the frequency of gratitude. Look for the sacred in the ordinary. Let thankfulness leak into places where you once rushed or even complained, or maybe you even closed off those certain parts of you where there's been a closed off feeling. Feel that gratitude into that space. Fill up that space with gratitude. Let your gratitude ripple backward to your ancestors who dreamed you into existence, and then forward to the generations who are going to inherit the world you are creating with your vibration of gratitude. You can be the gap between what was and what's to come by being in the what is and being grateful. When gratitude becomes your ground of being, blessings stop being something you chase. You wake up and you realize you are the blessing. You are what God gave to the world, and you are what God gives to the world every time you walk in a room. This is full circle. Coming back to what we talked about with the emerging story, awakening us to oneness, aligned and activated, giving us embodiment, living in frequency that taught us the language of love and joy and peace. Grateful anyway anchors all of it into every day. The final stage of awakening is not understanding, it is gratitude. It's not as a word, but as a way of being. I choose to be a walking, talking, vibrational frequency of gratitude. I choose to be thankful as a personality. Not just, again, it's not just a shirt or a jacket I put on. It is the skin of my life. When you do that, you bless the dreams of the ancestors, and you send an investment of higher energy, higher consciousness into the future. This is why I believe the scripture says, in everything, give thanks. For this is the will of the divine, the source, the I am God concerning you. In everything. As I've said before, not necessarily for everything, but in everything, give thanks. For this is the will of God concerning you. Well, this concludes our series, Grateful Anyway. Thanksgiving in every season, without even needing a reason. And I hope that in some way, this has helped to elevate your Thanksgiving and gratitude practice, and you'll continue to share that with many others for years to come. Well, I am grateful for you. I am grateful for your investment in this community, of your energy, your consciousness, and your financial support. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for being available. Thank you for being somebody who is showing up in the world right now with what's happening in the world. You're showing up, and you are willing to share your gift with the whole world. Thank you for that. So the ways to give are going to be on the screen on the way out. There's going to be an announcement there to share that. And I'm going to ask you to consider a gift of sustaining partnership, but also an end-of-the-year gift. It's tax deductible because it's a nonprofit religious organization. And as you give, you're not just sowing into the light that currently is. You're not just supporting what is currently happening. You're also seeding this ministry into the future. You're making it possible for other people who come along to experience this as well. And I want to say thank you for being a part of that. I love you, my friends. I'm going to get up out of here. Now go and make it a great day just because you can. Peace. Loved ones, thank you so much for joining us today for our devotional service. The ways to give are on the screen right now. You can, of course, text to give. You can utilize our app. You can also go to firstunity.org/give. And on that page, you can actually decide to become an auto giver. That's really what it takes to become a sustaining partner to this ministry. If you believe in what we're doing here, I'm asking you to consider supporting the light that currently is and seeding that light for the future. We continue with our ways to give by offering our P.O. Box, our Cash App, and our QR code for you to scan on the screen. So I want to say a special thank you to everyone who has chosen this community to be a place where you want to give your financial seed. Know that when you're planting that seed, it is going into fertile soil, and you activate the law of circulation in your life. God bless you.
Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. Now there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Now there is peace on earth. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. And our prayer of protection together: the light of God surrounds us. I am the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love. The power of God protects us. I am the power. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. I love you, family. Make it a great Sunday.